As a motorcycle enthusiast myself, I have a particular passion for helping motorcycle riders that have been injured. And as a personal injury lawyer, I just want to share some of the things that I've learned to observe and follow in terms of rules in keeping motorcycle riders safe. I'm Andrew Iacobelli. I'm a personal injury lawyer with Iacobelli Law Firm, and we have offices in Ontario, Canada, Florida, and Texas in the United States. A big part of our practice is cross-border injury claims. We often represent Americans injured in Canada and Canadians injured in the United States. Unfortunately, motorcycle crashes tend to be more serious. Oftentimes, the injuries require immediate hospitalization, sometimes immediate surgery, all happening while you're away from home. So I understand that there's a lot of concern, so I want to talk about some of the issues that arise and to give you some comfort in terms of what your rights and remedies are if you find yourself injured while traveling. You probably have questions about how are your healthcare bills going to be paid, when can you return back to Canada, and who's going to pay for all of these medical bills, but also any other harms and losses caused to you, whether it's income loss, healthcare expenses, or your pain and suffering. Those are all important questions, and I would recommend reach out to us immediately if you're in the hospital. Oftentimes you have many rights back in Canada, even though the accident happened in the United States. In fact, your motorcycle insurance policy gives you coverage no matter where you are, what we often refer to as no-fault coverage or accident benefits, and it will cover some of your medical bills, sometimes significant medical bills, depending on the nature and the severity of the injury. Also, if you have any private insurance like workplace health benefits, or you went and purchased your own healthcare benefits, or travel health insurance, emergency travel health insurance. In addition, you probably have a claim, if there's somebody else at fault, in the state where you are against the at-fault party. Because we've represented so many Canadians injured all over the United States, we've worked with many of the top lawyers in those states. So we can usually explore whether or not you have a remedy in the state where you are, and if necessary, we can introduce you or help you locate a suitable lawyer to help you with those claims. In the United States, more often than not, in our experience, probably over 90% of the time, when a motorcyclist is injured in the United States, more than 90% of the time in our experience, there isn't enough insurance from the at-fault driver that caused the crash to pay for all of your losses. We can usually identify that fairly quickly for you. And then if necessary, if that is the case, your claim will actually advance against your motorcycle policy. Really key to understand this, your motorcycle insurance, one of the best and most important coverages you can possibly have if you're riding your motorcycle in the United States, is something called uninsured and or underinsured motorist coverage. Is critically important. If you have $1 million in liability, you will have $1 million in underinsured motorist coverage, almost without exception. If you're watching this video and you're just preparing for a trip, check your policy, call your broker, call your insurance agent, and confirm that you have uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. You want at least $1 million or more. That's one of the things we can help you identify if you've already been in an accident. Do you have that coverage? How much coverage do you have? So even though there's an at-fault party, a driver that hit you, a vehicle that caused the crash, even though they probably don't have enough insurance, and like I said, that's almost always the case in our experience with serious injuries, then your insurance company will be obligated to pay. Keep in mind, there are very important steps that have to be taken. There are a lot of moving pieces. Cross-border injury cases are complex. There are conflicts of laws, different jurisdictional requirements, and by that I mean pieces of the case that have to proceed in your home jurisdiction, so whether that's Ontario or another Canadian province, and parts that apply in the location where the crash occurred. Certain parts of the law will intersect or supplement each other. So really important to get advice early and make sure you're getting a full assessment of the complete options that you have to make a recovery so you're not leaving anything behind. Sadly, we have learned of Canadians, oftentimes when it's too late, that didn't realize that they had these other benefits, these other insurance claims available under their own policy. They've resolved their claim, they didn't do the proper steps, they didn't preserve, they didn't apply on time. There are strict deadlines, limitation dates, rules, just because of not knowing, and most people wouldn't know, they basically released or lost their rights to other coverage. And sometimes that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Sometimes it could be $1 million or more. Call us. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is what we do. This is what we're known for. I've had the privilege of speaking at conferences and speaking to lawyers all over the United States and in Canada about the sort of nuances and complexities of cross-border injury claims involving Canadians injured in the United States, but also Americans injured in Canada. We very often co-counsel with lawyers throughout the United States to make sure the complete benefits and the complete access to insurance is available to you. This is really important to know. Your motorcycle insurance policy provides you coverage even if you're hit by a car or vehicle that doesn't remain on the scene. So even if you're a victim of a hit and run, if you're riding your motorcycle and somebody causes a crash and their identity is unknown because they flee the scene, in that case you may not have any rights in the United States because you can't identify the party. You can't figure out whether they have insurance. But you do have rights on your Canadian motorcycle policy. And that coverage isn't just if you're in the United States. If you're a motorcycle rider and you get involved in a crash with a car that flees the scene, hits you, causes you to wreck your bike and get hurt, you have unidentified motorist coverage on your own policy. We call these people that hit and run John Does or Jane Does. You can sue John Doe. You can sue Jane Doe. We do it every day here. You bought that coverage. Your insurance company on your motorcycle has a responsibility to pay that claim. Here are some tips for riders to make sure you're safe out there and you've got the proper coverage. Always make sure you have proper insurance on your motorcycle. Never ride your motorcycle without insurance. You might think that the insurance was just to protect you if someone makes a claim against you. But in fact, some of the most important coverage on your motorcycle has to do with protecting you in the event that you're injured. Other important things to remember to stay safe out there: protective gear. More and more motorcyclists, at least in my experience, they do wear a lot of protective gear, jackets and gloves, and your helmet is extremely important. Spend the money on the helmet. If the helmet's damaged, old, outdated, replace it. Visibility is important. Try to wear reflective clothing, particularly if you're riding at night. You want to make yourself visible on the road. I'm a fan of loud exhausts. There are circumstances where loud pipes will save lives. People will tell you they don't because of the way noise travels and all this, but there are circumstances where loud pipes have saved lives. Check your bike, maintain your bike, beginning of the season and before every ride. Make sure it's maintained, make sure your tire pressure is good, you've got good tread on your tires. We had a really serious motorcycle accident case years ago where we represented a passenger on a motorcycle, a lovely woman who, because of the irresponsibility of the rider of this motorcycle, who was literally riding this motorcycle with bald tires that should have been replaced years ago, let alone months ago, got a tire blow at high speed, crashed the motorcycle and resulted in severe brain injury and other injuries to this woman. That's careless. That's completely preventable. So you have a responsibility too. I know we always blame cars for motorcycle accidents, but motorcycle riders, you have a responsibility too to make sure your equipment is in good order. This goes without saying, most motorcyclists are aware of this. Drive defensively. Put yourself in the best position to be seen and observe, but also be in a position to react. Have enough time and distance to react and protect yourself in the event that a car does something careless because they haven't seen you or they're not paying attention. Takes me to another important point, refresher course. Just get out there and learn those good habits again, because sometimes we become complacent. So it's good to be reminded of that, take a course, and just refresh those reflexes, refresh those sort of techniques to make sure you protect yourself. Lots of accidents happen when people ride in groups, especially if you ride with people you don't know. So just be careful with that. Don't try to keep up with riders that may be riding at a different speed or style than you're comfortable with. So keep your company too. Who do you ride with, and are you comfortable with the way they ride? Those are just some of the things that come to mind, not just as a personal injury lawyer based on what we see in the cases we handle, but also as someone who rides. Enjoy the ride, be safe. If you have any questions at any time, consultation costs you nothing. It's a phone call, it's a free phone call, and we're here to help guide you so that you don't make a mistake that can cost you a lot of money later. Feel free to reach out to us.